Montessorians often use the language of freedom with limits to describe the open-ended choice that's enjoyed by children inside of these environments. And you will just as often hear teachers refer to following the child to describe the child-centered nature of those choices. So why is it that so many Montessori classrooms require children to receive formal lessons with the materials before they're permitted to remove them from the shelf? Montessori materials are carefully designed, elegant activities. They're intended to support the child in mastering a single concept all at one time. And each mastered concept in turn contributes to the complexity of the more advanced materials, and then to the complexity of the child's understanding of those concepts. So for example, a learner who's learning to build the full trinomial equation, laid out prism by prism with the trinomial cube, along a complicated chart with labels for a cubed, b cubed, c cubed, a squared b, and so on. They first have to have mastered all of the smaller concepts inside of that equation. Before a learner can demonstrate mastery of the trinomial equation, the learner needs to understand what a cube is, how to label each edge of a prism, the concept of addition, the gross motor capacity to carry the cube, the fine motor capacity to organize all of those pieces at once. A learner who'd like to cut fresh carrots for the classroom first needs to know how to carry a tray, how to wash vegetables, how to control a vegetable peeler, how to manage the compost bin, how to serve, how to clean up. Each of those lessons in turn has its own composite parts: how to move chairs, how to walk around the classroom, how to replace a lid on a bucket, how to wet a sponge, how to wash your hands, and so on. As adults, we often presume that these composite activities are easier than they actually are, in the classroom and at home. But the protection of that isolated concept is essential to the functioning of the Montessori classroom. By offering lessons that isolate single concepts, teachers are able to better assess a child's development, to understand quickly what part of a lesson a child might be struggling with, and to identify when they may need another presentation. Because the sequence of isolated concepts builds upon earlier mastery, a learner who jumps ahead to a more complicated activity may quickly find themselves to be in over their heads, overwhelmed by all the challenges and frustrated by their inability to manage them all. Especially in that critical window that Montessorians call the absorbent mind, when every experience teaches the child something about the world and about their ability to contribute to it, we provide challenges that require for concentration and allow for a manageable struggle, but we try not to set the child up to fail. So what does a Montessori teacher do with a child who wants to use a material that's too advanced for that moment in the child's development? In some classrooms, you might see teachers who engage the child in observing those lessons, reminding them that gently, one day you'll have this lesson too. You may see teachers who creatively engage the child and the material for a lesson that is inside the child's ability, like a child who's noticing the beautiful glass beads of the 1,000 chain. You might say, "Come, I'll give you a lesson with bead polishing." These alternative lessons satisfy the child's desire to touch and engage with the beautiful materials on the shelves. But they allow the teacher to circle back when the child is developmentally ready for the concept, to suggest, "Come and I'll show you a new lesson with a 5 chain." Some classrooms may have more hands-off boundaries, where you'll notice teachers saying things like, "This is such a beautiful material, let's look at it together on the shelf," and engage the child in a conversation about the lesson without yet taking it to a mat or a table. These can be tricky conversations. A child who's attracted to the beautiful lesson on the shelf is acting exactly the way the materials are designed to inspire them. We offer beautiful materials because we want to draw on the child's attention, and we want the child to want to take care of them. But a teacher can often satisfy that desire to touch a lesson that's conceptually too advanced for the child by offering the child other engagements instead, including other wonder-filled conversations about what it is about these lessons that makes them so appealing to begin with. And truth be told, some of the magic in the Montessori classroom is lost without these limits. When children can handle any material they choose, with or without a presentation from the teacher, we see them offering less care to the materials. They don't value them quite as much. The wonder that comes with having observed a lesson, having observed other children at work, and having worked towards doing that work yourself, it's lost. It becomes much more difficult to entice a child to a lesson that does emphasize the concept that they're ready to learn if they've already done that work. Children are aware of their own growth as well, and the joyful expressions that teachers notice throughout the classroom when a child has mastered something with which they've really been struggling for a while. It requires that struggle first. The limits allow for a wide range of development present in any one classroom to be met, to support the child in developing persistence when they're challenged by their work, and most importantly, to preserve the elegance of the isolated concept, to allow children to master the concepts more authentically and when the time is right.